Goed, julle, die volgende is dan nou die agenda en notule van 'n vergadering. So, julle gaan hierdie ouetjie moet leer. Hierdie gaan nou weer eens gevra word soos dit jou CV en dekbrief gevra word. Jy gaan of die die agenda kry en jy moet die minute doen, of jy gaan die minute kry en jy gaan dan die agenda moet doen. So, either you get the minutes and then you do the agenda, or you get the agenda and you have to do the minutes. Goed. Now, die agenda is 'n sakelys of 'n uiteensetting van besprekingspunte. So it's a list of discussion points that will be discussed in that order, in die bepaalde volgorde tydens 'n vergadering, will be discussed in a meeting. Okay. Nou, die eerste gedeelte, agenda van 'n vergadering van die sportkomitee op maandag 24 Augustus 2018 om 10:00 in die konferensiekamer gehou sal word, that will always stay the same. The only thing you will change is sportkomitee, die datum, die tyd, 10:00, genade, 10:00, en konferensiekamer. So that is what you change. And that you will change according to your topic. So if they tell you, jy is deel van die leerlingraad, en julle gaan 'n vergadering hou oor die matriekafskeid in die personeelkamer van julle skool om 2:30 die middag. Then you will change this to leerlingraad. The date you will change to whatever date they've given you, whether they give you a date or not. If they give you a date, great, use the date. If they don't give you a date, then use the one that is in here. And then your time will be there. Let vir gesê 2:30 die middag. En dan konferensiekamer, they told you personeelkamer van jou skool. You only have to say personeelkamer because remember, leerlingraad, you are the learner council or the prefects of your school, so you're not going to have people from other schools in there. Okay, dan moet jy die titel skryf, agenda, and then numbers 1, 2, 3, and 4 will always stay the same. Okay, so opening en verwelkoming will be there, bywoning en verskonings will be there, notule van die vorige vergadering will be there, sake uit die vorige notule will be there, then you will have 2 spaces open at least, okay? Sometimes in your exam or in the test or whatever the case might be, they will tell you, nuwe sake wat, of sake uit die vorige notule wat bespreek gaan word is. So they will tell you, matters from the previous meeting that will be discussed are the following, and then you fill that in here by 4.1 and 4.2. Done. Nuwe sake will be always number 5 then, and they will tell you what the new matters are going to be. So die nuwe sake in die geval is finansiële verslag en verslag van die hockeykomitee. Then there will always be a ses algemeen, there will always be 2 open spaces, but nothing will be filled in here on the agenda. Die algemene gedeelte is vir wanneer jy in jou vergadering is, en iemand het 'n saak wat hulle wil bespreek wat nie op die agenda is nie. Okay? So the general comment here, the algemeen, is usually when you're in your meeting, someone will then say, I also want to talk about the decor for the matric farewell. It's not on the agenda. May we please put it on? And then they will put it under algemeen. Okay? Dan, die datum van die volgende vergadering en die afsluiting stays exactly like that. At the end, you will have 2 spaces, okay, for signatures. You will have M.R. van Wyk, or whatever the surname of the name is. If they tell you, you are the voorsitter, you are the chairperson, then you will put your details in there. But again, remember, if it's your end of year exam, make it up. And then underneath voorsitter, and then C.R. Bekus is the secretaresse, it's the secretary. Again, make sure if they, for example, because they can do that, they tend to be a little bit sneaky sometimes. If, for example, it happens that they tell you Barend Bekus is writing the agenda, skryf die agenda, then you can't say secretaresse because secretaresse is female. Okay, but Bernard is male. So then you will say Bernard Bekus, secretaris. So you need to make sure that the what do you call it? The gender is correct. Okay? Voorsitter is fine because the two different one is voorsitter and voorsitster, but in most cases we have done away with the male and female there. So it's not a train smash if you leave it like that. Goed. Nou die wenke. Die agenda is kort, dis duidelik, spesifiek en ondubbelsinnig. Meaning it is short, it is clear and concise, it is very specific, and then ondubbelsinnig meaning it does not create confusion. For example, you can't have sake uit die vorige notule which says finansiële verslag and now again at nuwe sake finansiële verslag, because what's happening there? Why are we talking about matters from the previous meeting and matters of the new meeting? Just FYI, sake uit die vorige notule does not always have to have something in there. If everything in the previous meeting was agreed upon and everything was sorted out, there will not be matters from the previous meeting, but you will always have this option there should someone want to raise a point from the previous meeting again in this section. Okay. Die naam van die instelling word genoem, so the name of the company or the group or the committee is mentioned. Okay? Die datum, die tyd en die plek van die vergadering word genoem, the date, the time and the place of the meeting is mentioned. Dan die lys van besprekingspunte of sake wat volgens 'n bepaalde volgorde bespreek moet word. So after that information, the list of what will be discussed follows. Die doel van die agenda is om te verseker dat die belangrike sake nie agterweë bly nie en in orde van belangrikheid gerangskik word. So the goal or the purpose of the agenda is to ensure that the important matters does not get left by the side, that they are being discussed and that they are discussed in order of importance. Okay? Do you see with the new matters? They're talking about the financial stuff before they're talking about the report of the hockey committee. Okay? So finances is more important than the report, therefore this comes first and then that second. So usually they will give it to you in order. If they don't give it to you in order, think for yourself, what of these 2 or 3 items that they want me to add to this is more important than the other? Okay. Dit rig en gee orde aan 'n vergadering, so it gives guidance to your meeting. You know what you want to talk about, when you want to talk about it. Dit bepaal ook die tyd wat aan elke onderwerp bestee moet word. So it also determines the time that will be given to each topic. In this case, we don't have a lot of stuff to discuss. These 4 things at the beginning will be very quick. Notule van die vorige vergadering, the minutes of the previous meeting might take a little bit longer. Sake uit die vorige notule, there's nothing there, so very little time. 2 things there, not a lot, so we can spend more time on that than on the rest. Okay? Big companies, especially if we're looking at really international companies, things like that, people will actually put times with these things. It will take this long to discuss this topic or that long to discuss that topic. And should someone then have an opinion on maybe the financial matters, they will put that under algemeen, and when they are done with what they need to discuss, then they will carry on there. But you don't need to stress about that. That's just an example of real life things. Goed. Dan gaan ons oor na die notule toe, so the minutes. So die notule is 'n verkorte geskrewe verslag van alle besprekings wat tydens 'n vergadering plaasgevind het. So the minutes is a shortened written report of all the discussions that happened during a meeting. Okay? So you will start with the opskrif, die naam van die organisasie, die aard van die vergadering, ek sê naam van die organisasie, die aard, the nature of the meeting, die dag, die datum, die tyd en die plek word aangedui. So this one is very similar to the previous one, okay? But there is a difference. It says notule van 'n vergadering van die sportkomitee wat op maandag 24 Augustus 2018 om 10 uur in die konferensiekamer gehou is. Okay? So gehou is instead of, where it says here, gehou sal word. Okay, so basically everything is the same except for that last part, which tells us we are now going to be writing in the past tense. Alright, nou, basies wat hier gebeur is, jy gaan die opskrifte soos in jou agenda gebruik en jy gaan 'n verduideliking skryf van wat by elkeen gebeur het. So you're going to take the topic that is supposed to be discussed according to your agenda and you are going to explain to me what happened there. Okay. This first part, die voorsitter verklaar die vergadering geopen en heet die lede welkom. Study it off by heart and put it in as is. Bywoning en verskonings, attendance and excuses. Here you say, jy noem die titel, voorletters en vanne van die lede teenwoordig in attendance en van die wat 'n verskoning gemaak het. So, you will break this up into two different sections. You will say bywoning en verskoning, teenwoordig will be the first word, and then you will list all the people that are in attendance by title, initials, and surname. Okay, titles, initials, and surname. Then the second one will be verskonings of afwesighede, alright? And then you will list all the people who are absent. Must there be people absent? Unless otherwise specified, you can do it as you want. If you don't want to have people absent, then there are not people absent. But if your topic tells you there are people absent, well, sorry, you have to have people who are absent. Goed. Die notule van die vorige vergadering, nommer 3, you study again as is. Die notule van die vorige vergadering word gelees, goedgekeur en onderteken. So the minutes of the previous meeting has been read, approved and signed. Goed, sake uit die notule, so matters from the agenda or the previous agenda, then here you will then discuss matters from the previous agenda. If there's nothing, then you just write sake uit die vorige notule, geen, and then you carry on to the next one. Alright. If they have given you something, then you will put that here. Let's say, for example, they, in the previous meeting, they discussed fundraising and we needed to come up with ideas on how to do fundraising. Then you will have 4.1 fondsinsameling, and then underneath that you will say, die lede het met die volgende idees vorendag gekom. The members came with the following ideas, and then you list a few of the ideas and then you carry on. Okay. Now, nuwe sake, number 5, new matters. New matters will always have something underneath. Remember, in our agenda here, we had finansiële verslag en verslag van die hockeykomitee, né? So financial matters and then or financial report and a report from the hockey committee. So you will explain that there as 5.1 financial, and then obviously you will have to say die tesourier, the treasurer, meneer so en so het gepraat oor die finansies, ons het soveel in kapitaal en soveel in dit. Again, keep it simple, don't go all out or anything like that. And then hockey komitee verslag, then you can say die hoof van die hockey komitee het verduidelik wat in hulle vorige wedstryd gebeur het or whatever the case might be. Under any other matters that is being discussed or that was being discussed in the meeting that was not on the agenda, we already spoke about that, is then mentioned here. Again, unless they tell you there are general matters that need to be discussed, you don't have to put anything there. It's not necessary. Okay? Die datum van die volgende vergadering, here you just say die volgende vergadering sal gehou word op, the next meeting will be held on, and then you give the date, the day, the date, and the time, and the place, of course. Unless the place has not been decided yet, then you can say die plek sal, of die inligting omtrent die plek sal bekend gemaak word, of if you don't want to have a date, then you will say die volgende datum van die vergadering sal bekend gemaak word. So the date for the next meeting will be announced. Okay, that's also fine. Afsluiting, die tyd waarop die vergadering verdaag word hier genoem. So the time that the meeting is adjourned will be mentioned here. Hier word jy maak ook voorsiening vir die handtekeninge van die voorsitter en sekretaris. So remember we had here a space for the voorsitter, the chairperson and the secretary. So you will copy that underneath here at the bottom, and there will be signatures in that spaces. Okay, everybody understand that? Good. Also something to note that I did not mention with the agenda is there aren't signatures here because the agenda is not complete yet. No? You see there are still open spaces. Once this has been filled in, the secretary and the chairperson will then sign to say that this is our agenda that we are going to be using. And then of course this follows underneath, and they will sign it at the end of your meeting. Okay, wenke, the tips and tricks that you need to focus on. Goed, dit moet 'n lid wat nie teenwoordig was nie 'n idee gee van wat tydens die vergadering gebeur het. So, if one reads the minutes, it has to give you an idea what happened during that time. So it has to be concise enough that it's not 10 pages long, but it has to be with enough information that if you did not attend that meeting, for whatever reason, that you will be able to understand what was being discussed. Okay? Dit gee 'n opsomming van voorstelle en besluite, so it's a summary of proposals and decisions that was taken during the meeting. Alle besluite moet woord vir woord genotuleer word. So all decisions that is made must be written down word for word, which means if Gertjie Kleinhans said that he will make sure that there is enough food for the attendees at the pep rally, then you must make sure that it says this person said this for that. Okay? Otherwise, they can come back and say, but I never said that. All right? So this is kind of to back you to make sure that everyone does what is said. 'n geskrewe notule word in 'n geskrewe notule word die verskillende opskrifte onderstreep. So as you see here, when we have written our meeting or our minute, every topic that is discussed is underlined. Okay? Onderstreep. Onbenullighede word uitgelaat. So unnecessary information is left out. Like in this case. You're not going to tell us how he opened it. Okay? If they maybe opened with prayer and a scripture reading, you're not going to say what scripture they read and what the prayer was for and how long it lasted and all of that crap. Okay? You just tell me, die voorsitter verklaar die vergadering geopen met gebed of met skriflesing en gebed, and then you carry on. Okay? Gebruik kort sinne, short sentences. We're not writing a Greek novel here. We are writing a short, concise minutes of meetings. Die notule word altyd in die teenwoordige tyd geskryf, so it's usually written in the present tense. Remember, this is in the past tense, and then the rest follows in the present tense. Except, of course, for die datum van die volgende vergadering, the date of the next meeting, that will be in the future tense. Die notule stem puntsgewys ooreen met die agenda, so your minutes must align with your agenda. Alright? You can't, for example, swap number 2 and number 3 around. It has to follow in the order of your agenda. En taal en styl is altyd formeel. You're not going to say, Gerard het gesê dat warra warra warra. You will say, Meneer Kleinhans het gesê dat. So you're going to address him by his title and his surname rather than just his name. Okay. If there are any questions on this one, please feel free to ask me. It is not a very popular topic. They haven't asked it that many times before. But like I say, you will always have either the agenda or the minutes to do. You won't have both to do. OK, tada julle.